of money where the city is concerned. Number one is our operating budget, which will have a significant shortfall for the foreseeable future of approximately $5 billion on a budget of around $88 billion. Then you have the capital budget, when we build things and improve things, and then you can issue bonds to finance. Then you have aid from Albany and aid from the federal government. The single biggest source of money that we are going to be seeing come into the city and the state is going to be federal aid as a result of the bill that's on Capitol Hill right now. And the estimate of the level of relief that New York State will get is approximately $50 billion. And you would expect a significant proportion, maybe a majority of that, to come to New York City because we're the biggest economic engine of the state. So we're going to have federal resources to work with for the next, I'm going to say, 2 years. And then the budgetary shortfalls are going to be much more solely in the city's responsibility, probably in about year 3. So during that time period, we'll have at least some flexibility. Now, I'll be looking for additional opportunities, and I will be looking to try and increase efficiencies in city agencies. But we are going to have the resources to do a few things, and one of the things that I'm suggesting we do is put economic buying power in the hands of the extremely poor in New York City, in large part because a lot of those people are right on the edge of hitting our streets and adding to the homelessness crisis and winding up in city institutions and city services that are very, very expensive right now. So if you invest a small fraction to keep someone in their home or more stable situation, including people who are undocumented, including undocumented Asian American immigrants, that's actually going to be a win for New York City, because when someone winds up in our shelter system, we're spending $6,000 a month per family on their housing. So if you spend a small fraction of that to keep someone in a better situation, we'll get that money back. But if you look at our operating environment for the next couple of years, we have a window of opportunity that we should be able to take advantage of.
Give me a little more details of your basic income program right now. You had talked about $1,000 a month in your presidential campaign. Would it be $1,000 a month here in New York City?
Now, I think most people know that that's not realistic in New York City. New York City does not have the capacity for the federal government. I will also suggest that the federal government is about to send tens of millions of Americans $1,400. So the idea of cash relief is very mainstream and popular among not just citizens but economists. Like, they look at it and say this is a great way to both help people and help the economy. But the New York City plan is very different. It's going to be targeted cash relief for the 500,000 or so poorest New Yorkers, and the level of income they'll be getting is closer to about $200 a month, which doesn't sound like much, but it's significant when you are at that particular edge of poverty, where an extra $200 a month can be a difference maker in keeping you under a roof or from having food deprivation issues and other things. So it's very, very different in New York City. And one of my goals is to make it so that this buying power that we put into the hands of the poorest New Yorkers gets channeled to locally owned small businesses to try and maximize the impact, because there are a lot of small businesses that are struggling to stay open. So there are ways that we can put this money to work positively in New York City. If New York City were a country, we would be the 11th biggest economy in the world. We're a very large and diverse economy, and we should be able to take advantage of that to support some of the small businesses that are struggling right now.
Would you have a special program to make sure undocumented Asians get this income, in the sense of translators and community organizations? Will you make an effort to do that, since the undocumented Asians are so often ignored by city government?
Yes, we would. That's one of the purposes of this program, is to try to integrate people into our city that right now don't feel like they can talk to anyone in any official capacity without fear of getting deported. And so a related initiative to this anti-poverty program is I want to get more of the 12% of New Yorkers who don't have bank accounts. And this is very much the same population we want. These are a lot of undocumented immigrants who don't speak English as the first language. And if you don't have a bank account and you're spending hundreds of dollars you don't have, on things like wire fees and check cashers and money lenders and pawn shop lenders. And so we're going to introduce a way so that you can get a safe, essentially low cost or zero cost bank account, regardless of your immigration status, with an ID NYC, and reach out to immigrant communities to let them know, look, don't worry about it. We're just going to give you this ID. You can have a bank account. You don't need to worry about the fact that you're undocumented. And this is going to help our city in multiple ways, and it's going to help those communities very directly. But we'll definitely reach out to Asian Americans